Hey guys, it's Lennon. Welcome to the channel. Today I had been wanting to participate in Amethyst Ascension's tag Hungry Eyes for Tarot. However, I have not purchased a deck like mass market or anything like that in a long time. So today I thought I would do walk through, flip through, first impressions of the beautiful Trionfi De La Luna Tarot Illustrated Pip Edition by Patrick Valenza, and why this has been the only deck that I've bought that was created by someone else, because I've bought my own prototypes, like from Make Playing Cards and Game Crafters and things like that, from someone else in over a year. Actually, probably almost 2 years. So I wanted to touch on that. I mean, this was everywhere, really, this Trionfi De La Luna. And if you've been following me for a while, you know my aesthetic, all right? And my aesthetic is this. And I've been wondering why I don't have the Deviant Moon. I'd put it in my cart somewhere, or I would wait around for Llewellyn to have a sale or something like that, right? And then I would just not buy it. I just wouldn't. And I don't know what it was. I loved it. I loved the images. I loved how Patrick Valenza portrayed the minors, how he did the pips. It was just, I don't know, something always stopped me about the Deviant Moon Tarot. And then this came out. Now, I know that a couple of people love his Marseille editions, but that's not where my love is. My love is in illustrated pips. And while I do have a few, I think 2 or 3 actually only, Marseille style decks, that's just not the decks I like to read. So, look at that. I wonder if this is one of those that's in like a whole bunch of languages. Anyway, I've seen images of this, and I think it's already come out at this point. I pre-ordered it on Amazon and got it like soon. I got it before it even said it was released, so I'm not really sure what was going on with that. So I got it kind of early this time, and but how am I supposed to get into this? Let me see if I can. I'll cut this out. Let me cut into this. What was it about this deck? This is the question. What was it about this deck that made me purchase it out of all of the Patrick Valenza decks that are available? I have no idea. Okay. I just know that my hungry eyes, usually, like when you go window shopping for tarot, your eyes can be bigger than your stomach, and you end up getting a whole bunch of decks, like all the ones that are in your cart or all the ones that you've thought about getting, and you're like, you know what, I got the money, I'm just going to get them all. And sometimes, like me, I just starve myself to death before I'll buy a deck. I just will. So I didn't know what it was about this deck that made me immediately push the pre-order now button on Amazon. And I do think that this had already come out, like on his website or something. I thought that this was like already a thing. Let me see if I can adjust so that we can walk through the cards. Okay, so I've adjusted. I hope that there's not too much of a glare from the ring light. But I know that it would be incredibly dark in here if I did not have it on. So let's just see. And like I said, I'm not really sure why I chose this one out of all of the Valenza decks, but I knew, on some subconscious level, I knew that I needed a Valenza deck because his aesthetic is my aesthetic, and his art just speaks to me, and it always has. But again, I don't know what it is about this deck. Now, see, right away, I like this because this is a Marseille magician. And I like the Marseille magician because it's a little bit different than like the Rider-Waite-Smith magician. Even though it's the same meaning, yada, 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 whatever. I just love this street performer magician because it's satirical to me, but also how we can bridge the gap between performative magic and practical magic. And the tarot does nicely with bridging the gap in esoteric circles. Love a cloaked high priestess. I just love when the priestess looks like, I don't know, hella mysterious, hella priestess like I want her to look like a priestess. I even like them when they're cloaked, or not cloaked, or hooded, like when they're hooded and you really can't see a face. But I do like what he's done here. I like her hands, and I like how she's sitting on all the books. But I also like that there's a fire behind her, which means they're banned books, and she's like protecting the books that are about to get burned. Almost like she's not just a priestess but a guardian. I like that. And a lot of these have a Marseille feel. I think they're supposed to, because it's called Illustrated Pips Edition. So it's like the Marseille, but with illustrated pips. So I think that that's what I love about this deck. First, like right off the rip, is that it kind of morphs between the two. Love this Empress. She just looks so hella... she just looks so hella chill. And a little... I don't know, like a little fierce, I'll say, I guess. But I like her little third eyes down here in her belly button. And this peacock. Love this. I love the detail that that Valenza chooses to put in his decks. And it's like, how does he know? Like, okay, peacock, sure. Books on fire, sure. Whatever this thing is and whatever this thing is. Like, how does he pick and choose which creatures go into which card? It's just lovely. Love this. This monocle here makes it look like a Valenza Monopoly man. Love these devilish. I love the imps. He has a thing about imps where he draws them and they look like, you know, devilish creatures, but to me they're really like imps and mischievous creatures. And I love that these two supplicants are devilishly cute imps. Love a good lover's card. And I love this. This makes me think of Death and the Maiden, actually. I'll probably journal about that one later. Because I want to go through and journal about the deck as a whole before I start reading with it. Not because I have to, because that's not my thing. I don't have to do that. When I really like a deck, I'll tend to go through and consciously pull cards to talk about in my journal, to kind of ruminate on what I think it means. And that harbors, like, for me, a deeper relationship with the deck itself. Love this Athenian looking Justice card. Just, oh, yes. Oh, I love him. He has big toes. I like him. He's so cute. I want to have conversations with him. That's the mark of a good hermit to me. If I want to sit on that mountain and talk to you, that's a good hermit. Love creatures. I love the aspect of creatures that he has. This strength card is probably one of my favorites of all time. Now, a lot of people they anthropomorphize the animal in the strength card. Okay, a lot of people do that. I don't necessarily like anthropomorphizing animals. However, if it's made like this, to where it looks like she's shape-shifting into an animal, and it's not so much that we're putting a human traits onto an animal, she's shape-shifting into one. That's what this makes me feel like, is that she's performing some kind of ritual here under the moon, and she's shape-shifting into an animal. And that's the right that she's choosing. Don't you just love his concept of, like, plant matter? It just looks something otherworldly. I love that about Patrick Valenza. I love that there's creatures within creatures, too. Like how sometimes you see a belly with a mouth or whatever. It really reminds me of those marginalia. If you're familiar, marginalia are like those like little creature, like imp little creatures that live on the margins of those old-timey manuscripts. And they're meant to be satirical and stuff like that. They're meant to just, for the scripters to have some fun with. Also love, I actually love that death is unnamed here, because in the very traditional Marseille, death is unnamed because of its taboo. Because to name it is to put forth that superstition. So to have it unnamed is really important to still be, I'll say, to still be a Marseille style. And because this bridges the gap, it does that. So, love me some boobs. There you go. I love that this devil has so much symmetry in it. I love when the devil has symmetry. Symmetry is a control tactic. And nature doesn't really like symmetry. It likes the Fibonacci sequence, which is different. And it likes spirals, and it likes, like I said, the Fibonacci equation. It doesn't necessarily like symmetry. So to have the devil have symmetry really harbors into the mechanics of the card. It's about control, systems, indoctrinations, and institutions. That's what the devil is about. It's about this kind of trickery that the lawful systems of the world harbor us under. And so to have symmetry in the devil card is really important to me. And he really hooked it with this card. Tower, of course. Love the tower. Actually love whatever the hell is happening here. This lobster claw thing. Might journal about that too. I'll have to pull these out. Love this. This is probably, again, one of my favorite star cards. You can't really go wrong with a naked lady on her knees by a creek. Okay? Let's just be honest. There's not much you can fuck up with that. All right, let's just be honest, be blunt. But there's something about the intricate nature of this particular creature that I adore. Because there's the fish eating her back is gone. Now, usually I would think that if a backbone is gone, that means that you're a weak creature, right? But I don't necessarily think of stars as weak. I don't even think about this being a weak card. I think more about, and immediately when I saw this card somewhere, wherever I saw it, I immediately thought about this being the burden of hope we carry. And yes, that might make us weak. It might make us seem weak, but we're not weak. So anyway, of course, this graces the box. Love this creature. I love dragonoid creatures because I follow the dragon. Follow a dragon path, I'll say. And then see, the twins are in the sun in the Marseille system. Crowley does this too in his deck. He puts the twins in there, and it's very much a balance of power, balance of emotions, and things like that. It's really about Cain and Abel coming together and creating this paradise, this utopia. Well, what I think. Again, Mouth of Hell. If that motif is getting used, I am already in love. So I love that the Mouth of Hell reached the Judgment card. It's just, there's something medieval about this. There's something calling me about this. And this probably was one of those cards that called to me when I wanted, like when I was just looking through it, that was like one of those deal breaker and deal maker cards. This was definitely one of them. And then the Fantastic World. Again, you can't really go wrong as long as you're doing you know, nude figure in some kind of wreath, some kind of circle, blah, 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 blah. But I love, first of all, I love that she's blue. I just love that. Just really, really love that. I love these little wind creatures here, because, you know, wind usually has faces like this, blowing faces. But I love that he gave her like this Marie Antoinette hairstyle. I just love that. For some reason, I just love that. That's just, yes, honestly. Now, one thing I don't like is when you get a new deck and you're looking through it and you just want to like walk through it like this, it starts with the court cards. I don't like that. So what I'll probably do is put this over here somewhere and change that. And then I'll be on like a second to you guys. Love this plant matter. Again, creatures within creatures. I like, especially for the like a 2 and 3 of wands, the creature within creature, because it really makes me think that we're moving in a direction, which is what these two cards mean for me. which we don't see here. See, we see some kind of like ennui here that I don't necessarily get with the Three of Wands. But because it's not really about cultivation yet. It's not really about that. Love these backs. Jeez. I love this because it reminds me of the Witches in the Woods. This is my Baba Yaga card right here in this deck. Right here. She's calling me. Yes. Some infighting. I'll see. Okay, so the wands, it must be these devilish imps. For the major, like the figures that dominate this suit would be these like red imps, devilish imps. I like that. Everyone tends to, most people do the same thing for this. You know, like this bandaged, battle-born figure. Yeah. See, I like that. I see like some of these details I like where one of his horns looks sawed down. Just from years of use, you know, like makes you wonder. I like how the horns in this are different than the horns in the others. Just really, for it to be a Marseille style, I understand because it's really about the age progression and the age of accountability, I guess you could say. How do I pick this up? There. Ooh, I love this Hound of Hell. Ooh, I love that. And of course, this epic looking. Actually, I don't know what's going on here. I like that. I like that this is making me think of something. I don't know what it's making me think of, but it's something. This silver fox right here. This silver fox is so cool. I just like him. He looks so svelte, so debonair. Yeah, I like him. A little white devilish beard. Very city. It's very city-centric, this card. I don't know if I like that for the cups, but we'll see. Date and night under the moon. There's always someone farting fire. I consider myself a prude, to be honest, for the most part. Only for the most part. And cards like this are okay because he's trying to tell us something with this. And I will say, just off the rip, I don't know if this is his intention, but from my perspective, if you're in a group and you're willing to, like, say, pass gas in front of them, that's like ultimate comfortability, right? So it's there's a comfort and a camaraderie, a real camaraderie that comes with that. This little angel thing here. She's not really making me feel very comfortable, actually. I love this, okay? I love that this little Five of Cups guy, I mean, we usually see the brooding guy. I love that the moon is bleeding something. So I really want to, like, think about that. But I love that he's crying, and it's a very Alice in Wonderland vibe for me for this, because it's all the cups are underwater, and there's something about this card. I know I love this card. He's my brooding boy. Okay, he's my brooding boy. But there's something about this card that really, really wants me to think about this card. And that's what I love about decks like this. Again, can't go wrong with this nostalgia. Fairy Thoughts, which all of these mean something. I've probably talked about that in another video. I like how these are stacked. Very Marseille. I like him too, because the eye is in the same place as the Empress's eye. So that makes me think too, is that they're related somehow. That this Ten of Cups figure is related to the Empress. And how is it related to the Empress? Is she his mother, his grandmother, and is she spoiling him, or is he just like, is he spoiled? I mean, this card makes it seem like he's spoiled and getting a tummy ache from all the stuff that he's that he's indulged in. It's an indulgence card. But okay, let's look at the court cards for the cups for a second. So I just want to see what they got going on. See, so it's the moon, these moon creatures for the cup suit, where it was the red devilish imps for the wand suit. Okay, I like that, how we're mixing. I like these. I like how when there's creatures involved with each suit, I like them to match the suit. So I do like that this is a very, mermaid ship, what looks to be like a carnival ride. This actually looks like a carnival ride I've probably ridden in my life. So I like that. I like that these are the moon creatures. Okay, so we've had the devils and the moon creatures. What's next? The sword suit. So now it looks like we're going to have the dark moon creatures. Okay. And see, I want to think about that too. There's so much to be said about the creatures themselves and what Valenza wants these creatures. They're telling a story. They're portraying something, right? But it's in the Marseille status, so this is more medieval royalty, medievalism. And so, I don't know. I want to explore that too. So this must be the dark moon. And I don't know about that. I don't know what I'm thinking about that yet. I mean, as a lot of us like the Three of Swords, I mean, we have our own kind of take on what we like the Three of Swords to look like. I probably would have preferred this to be a little bit more plain to go with that, the Three of Swords we all love. But as this is a Marseille style illustrated pip, it wouldn't. The Three of Swords doesn't look like this, or it doesn't look like with the heart, the bleeding heart, the rain, and all that. That's purely a Rider-Waite-Smith function, so it's not present in the Rider-Waite in the Marseille. So, but I kind of like how he tend to bridge it, and I like how the inside of his cloak is like the inside of himself, and it's like this big cauldron down here that the heart is bleeding into. So I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Love this. I love emergence as a key. That could be a keyword for a card. And I like how this plant seems to be fighting back. Like that. Because the force for me is all about resilience. And numerology in the Marseille system is really important. Because that's what the cards are based off of, is the numbers. And I'll leave a video below of one that I reference all the time. And it's by The Truth and Story, Kelly at The Truth and Story. She made over an hour long video on Marseille and numerology and like knowing the pips and getting to know them based on their numbers. So check out that video below if you're interested in learning Marseille. Lots of information to pack in that. Have some kind of paper and pen ready. But yeah, see, I like that there's a ship here. And I like that. Yeah, I do. I like what they've done. Very, very nice here. I don't know why his face is whitened out, because it's supposed to be the dark moon. So, you see, I don't know. I'm trying to think about it. Ooh, I love this kind of mummified moon. I do love the Eight of Swords. Love that. Very sad. Very empathetic, this card. I love this. Now, to have an Iron Maiden, well, what you think is an Iron Maiden in this card is very cool. Although, I do see a yellowed figure in here, not a dark moon figure. So, I don't know. Is this a trick? Is this like a magician's trick? I don't know. This is like some things I've got to think about. Let's see these for a second. So yeah, these are the dark moon cards, court cards. I do Again, ageism. The aging process is present. Ooh, I like that on his cloak. And I don't know, I do have something about Valenza's decks that his art style tends to put multiple breasts on figures. As someone who works with the goddess in many forms and who works with the images of the goddesses from the, like what we have from way back in olden times, where the females did have, like Gustave Moreau's art, where they did have multiple breasted women. I do like how Valenza adapts that into his art. Like, I do like these figures. But again, I'll have to journal about what the figures are and what they're really trying to represent, besides their suit, you know, like their respective suits. But I'm telling you, there's something about this deck that is so, it feels so different than any of his other decks, and that really wanted me to get it. Okay, so I guess last we'll have the discs, right? So let's go and see what we can find. Now, what kind of creatures do we see in this? More moon creatures. See, hopefully he explains it. Hopefully he does, but I don't know if he will. And if you know, you can leave it below. Like if you've been keeping up with like his blogs or websites or something like that, maybe you already know, like you're in the know. Why did we only get one suit with like the devilish, red devilish creatures, and then the rest of them look like some sort of moon people, right? I'm not really sure why. So we seem to have more moon people here. Let's see. I do like this work card. Now, for those of us who read tarot, I mean, if you're here, I don't know. I guess you would read tarot. But we've come a long way, okay? We've come a long way, and we no longer really look at the Four of Coins as the miserly guy. Now, they might still focus in on this in the Marseille system, I'm not sure, but the Four of Coins is really about harboring, holding on to things, and that can have negative effects, but it's not only about greed, right? It can't be only about greed, because the cards have to have nuance for us to be able to pick out what it's really trying to tell us specifically, or our client. So it's really about holding on to things, and so to have this be this miserly man really limits the card to me. But here we go, a beautiful 5. A beautiful 5 of the danger card, really. I do love that. I love a good church window. Stained glass window. Now, I like this, that this is a fish. I like that this is a fish instead of a whole humanoid. And I like that this is a lot of hands, right? It's a lot of give. This is a lot of give. In this, I like how in some cards the elements are mixed, and I like this. It's really about we're giving, and again, this can have negative and positive effects. Yeah, I like these flowers. I love a good gnome hat. I love a good gnome hat. And I like how he uses the aspect of perspective to show us what's underneath the ground. Kind of like the 5 of Cups. Like, he really shows us the areas in which we should be focusing in the card. I like that. And of course, who doesn't love a 9 of Coins? Because it's like, people go... Fashion people need to look at like a lot of 9 of Coins cards, and let's get in on making the outfits, because there's so many cool robes and like kimonos and cardigans, dusters that us as tarot readers could really be wearing, okay, in this kind of bohemian style, and we could really be evoking the 9 of Coins. If we could just get someone in the fashion industry to do it. I love this. Legacy card, really, I mean, as long as there's a family, you really can't go wrong. Love the castle. Love that castle on the back. All right. Into the courts now. Let's see. Okay. I like this aspect of chasing. We're chasing the butterfly, right? We're chasing what, for me, this really would be about like chasing what interests us. And we tend to take rabbit holes and everything else, but chasing what interests us and what our passions are is how it starts, right? And then really it's like once we've gotten to a place where we can acquire what interests us, we get into this kind of boredom. Like we're like, okay, we got it. Now what? Who cares, right? And like he's really in an I don't care stage because the whole city's burning behind him. But then you learn and you're growing and you kind of learn what it means to have and what it means to have fulfilled a dream and fulfilled some kind of purpose. Actually love this. This was, again, one of my deal maker cards because I actually have a skeleton baby poppet that I made when I was young that I still have and still use in my magic practice. So to have this in his hand really cemented that for me. But it's really about building. So it's about chasing and building. And I love what Patrick has been able to share with us in his vision. And while, again, I know some people love his Trionfi classics, there's something about this deck. And again, not entirely sure. Made it through the end of this walkthrough and still don't know. Let me shuffle and see how good it is. Yeah, it's got some good cardstock in it, but I didn't expect anything less. Love these. Did I say that? I love the backs. So, yeah, there's something about this. And this is probably, I'm not really going to know until I get really engrossed into working with it probably. But, yeah, I'm glad I purchased it. And I'm glad that out of all the decks that have come out, I was really hungry eyes and satisfied that I pushed the buy now button for this. But let me give you some honorable mentions to end the video with, okay? Some decks that have been in my sights that I may purchase in the future that I'm having hungry eyes for. Again, I don't know if I'll eat them to really go with this analogy or not, but I'm really looking at the Blood of Baphomet Tarot by Travis McHenry. I think he did a great job on that deck, and I think Lilith would love that deck. I think it would pair well with my Eden Kiss deck. I think she would like working with both of those together because I could work with the poetic version of Eden Kiss as like the Oracle Clarifier and then use the Blood of Baphomet Tarot. I might put a picture up for you. So I'm really thinking about that. I love the red. I just love that that's like a red deck with line work. So I'm thinking about that one. And I'm thinking about these Blue Bones by Rose Bay. I think that there's something special about that deck. First, from the sheer number of cards in it. But for its collage and for the messages on it and for the message of the overall deck. I think that is really nice. Now, a couple of other ones that are kind of old that I've had on my wish list are the Tarot of Bones. That's by a creator called Lupa. Now, that deck is fairly inexpensive, really, on Etsy, but there's something stopping me from buying it. I need a bone tarot, and it was between the Tarot of Bones and like a skeleton tarot, preferably one that really looks like skeletons, so like the Killstar Tarot. Now, I know that's a clothing company, but they've got a great tarot out. And so it's between those two for working with the goddess, working with the dark feminine and stuff like that. I want kind of a skeleton deck. And then I've always really kind of had my eye on the Kantaji Oracle. There's just something, I love that it's round. I love that I just love like the messages on the cards. I love how poetic it looks and abstract kind of it looks. I really like what it's trying to give us. And then I think that there was an oracle, or maybe by like the people that made Oracle of the Radiant Sun, they made another deck. I think it's an oracle, a goddess oracle or something. I've always wanted that one, but these are old, like old. And then I can't think of any new ones that have come out. Now there's a lot on Make Plain cards. I know Rochelle that came up with this tag has got so many on her Make Plain cards. So like whenever I go, I tend to like her gothic ones, like her gothic tarot that really looks like a Penny Dreadful type tarot. I really like that one. I'm interested in that one. And then Courtney's is the same. She's got like a Penny Dreadful, deadly oracle. Very dark, very spooky. You know, I like that vibe. So there's a lot going on. People are making their own decks, now, and it's really it's so saturated. That's why this deck tag is so cool, because the game itself of tarot and oracle is so saturated now that I have not been able to keep up with what all's come out, what's coming out, like pre-order, what kind of keeping up with creators and things like that. I haven't really been good at all that. So I really rely on the community and tags like this to know what's even coming out. So I appreciate the tag for that, to let, just keep me in the loop. But yeah, I just wanted to come on and share this one deck that I had gotten in the last couple of years. This one deck that I was hungry for and I bought, and I'm excited to work with it. And many more decks that might come out, that might be in my collection someday. So we'll see. So anyway, I hope everyone's having a magical day. Get out your cards, play with them, shuffle them and spread them, and see what comes up. Even if you're just playing around, it doesn't matter. Just get the cards out and start playing. I hope to see you again soon. All right, much love.